Hey, Dr. Walt here. And with COVID, HIV, influenza, and the threat of countless other potential viral onslaughts, epidemics, or pandemics, dietary supplements are being touted as immune system boosters and lifesavers. In fact, more than 1,000 supplements are currently on the U.S. market, and they're claiming to have all sorts of positive effects on immunity. But do any work? Are they a waste of money? What should you consider? Today I'm going to tell you on this edition of Ask Dr. Walt.
Today, our health includes our mind, our body, and our spirit. Separating medical facts from fiction is the key that leads to wise decisions about our health and well-being. Unpacking the latest research is vital. Doing what works helps us live our best lives today. How can we live longer? How can we live healthier? Let's ask Dr. Walt on Liftable TV.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Walt Larimore, and I'm delighted that you're taking the time to join me right here in my home office to talk about how we can boost our immune system, how we can protect our immune system. And the advertising for immune system supplements must be working, because one of the top reasons that people take dietary supplements is for immune health or immune support or to boost the immune response. And this represents almost 40 million Americans who took these substances last year. The bad news is that unfortunately, most folks may be wasting hard-earned dollars. I'm going to explain why, but first let's review some basics. Each of our bodies has to contend with a never-ending onslaught of potentially dangerous microorganisms or germs. And the system that guards us utilizes a wide variety of defenses that are collectively called the immune system. Now, likely you've heard of diseases that result in immune deficiency. The best known is acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS, and it's caused by the human immunodeficiency virus, HIV. Now, people with immune deficiency are susceptible to many different infections, microorganisms, germs that most healthy people can fight off. Of course, healthy people get sick from time to time when infections manage to slip by or bust through our defenses, while others find themselves frequently coming down with illnesses like common cold all the time. Often, people in these categories want to find treatments that can strengthen their immune system or the immune system of their children. Unfortunately, this is much easier said than done. So what I want to do is, instead of just giving you my opinions or thoughts, is turn to experts from around the world for an explanation on immune system boosters. Let's start with the Natural and Alternative Treatments Encyclopedia. They say that many natural products are said to boost general immunity. However, while we can scientifically study the effect of a single treatment on a single illness, there is no way we can even know that a treatment strengthens the immune system in general. Well, they then go on to add that, they say this: does such a treatment exist? No one really knows, although claims abound. You see the graphics here, you can see that when we went on the internet and looked for advertisements for immune boosters, literally they abound. It's almost like countless advertisements for these products. Now, the folks at Harvard Health tell us that the idea of boosting your immunity is enticing, but the ability to do so has proved elusive for several reasons. This is the most important. The immune system is precisely that. It's a system, not a single entity. To function well, it requires balance and harmony. And many products on the store shelves claim to boost or support immunity. But the concept of boosting immunity actually makes little scientific sense. Let's see if we can sort through that. Harriet Hall, Dr. Hall, is an editor for the Science-Based Medicine blog, and she's a bit more explicit. She says this: walk into any health food store, browse the internet, you'll find a multitude of diet supplements advertised to boost your immune system or support immune function. Do they work? Will they keep you healthier or reduce your chances of catching infectious diseases? She concludes, the claims are not supported by science. I wish they were. She goes on to say, for normal people whose nutrition is adequate, no high-quality clinical study has ever shown that any intervention led to any meaningful improvement in immune function or to any decrease in the rate of disease. Now, we're going to hold there just for a second, because this is critical. Even studies that might show a little difference in immune function show no decrease in the rate of disease. And isn't that what you're looking for, for you and your children? Now, actually, critics of immune boosters abound in the scientific community. Let me just give you a few others. Ed Zimney, MD, is a former FDA medical officer, says this: there are no effective immune system booster products. I know that the internet is awash with products claiming to enhance the immune system, but there's simply no scientific evidence that they work. He goes on to say, all the millions of dollars that people spend on these products does nothing more than fill the coffers of the unscrupulous companies peddling them. And then he goes on to add, how these people even sleep at night is beyond me. Well, maybe that's a bit of hyperbole, maybe that's a little bit overreach, but he's not uncommon. He's not unusual in the scientific community. Marvin Littman, the physician, he's the chief medical officer of Consumer Reports. It's a magazine that I think most of us trust. And Dr. Littman wrote this: the proof of any purported immune boosters is whether it can increase your resistance to infection. And the simple truth, he says, is no dietary supplement or alternative remedy has so far been shown to do so. In other words, taking them just doesn't change our chance of getting sick. Let's look at a couple of others. David Neiman is a doctor of pharmacology and a researcher in immunology. He says this: you can't boost the immune system by adding nutrients. Most immune system claims are misleading. You can't strengthen your immune system by adding extra vitamins or minerals unless the person has a severe deficiency. Now, no question, if you have a deficiency in something, vitamin D or vitamin C, taking a supplement can be helpful. What's our best proof that immune supplements simply don't help? I think it's the case of HIV/AIDS. It's one of the worst, the most devastating of the immune deficiency diseases. And so in my book, The Natural Medicine Handbook, I wrote this: the people who do have HIV/AIDS can attest to just how hard it is to enhance their immune systems. But after 35 years of research, the only proven way to enhance the immune system of a person with AIDS is with antiviral medication. If any of these so-called immune system boosters really worked, they would have immediately been used in the treatment of HIV/AIDS. But they don't work for HIV/AIDS, and therefore they are not used. I wish they did. One of the men that I love deeply is a partner of my brother, and he has suffered with HIV/AIDS for since 1985, so almost 35 years. And people who have this disorder, just like my family member, study everything that they can study. There's nothing that works for this. If it would, if it did, my family member would be on it, and I would be recommending it to you. But let's continue to look at the evidence so that we can make a wise decision, because the internet is chock full of information. And in 2019, Brazilian researchers evaluated the top 185 web pages from a Google search on boost immunity. And they were looking at terms like specific boosters mentioned, and they reported that of the 37 approaches to boost immunity, here's the most common ones. So diet, for example, 77% of the web pages on immune boosters mentioned that. Fruit, 69% mentioned that. And bravo, I'm going to talk to you about the evidence for that. But then look at what comes next. Vitamins, antioxidants, probiotics, minerals, vitamin C, what I call natural medicines, herbs, vitamins, and supplements. And websites selling immune boosters have extremely low levels of medical accuracy, only clocking in on an average of about 9%. So in the internet, when it comes to immune boosters, buyer beware. Even trusted alternative medicine physician Andrew Weil's website was recently ordered to stop claiming that its products could help prevent swine flu and colds. And he's not alone. Here's just a few of the many other federal government actions that had to be made against people who made egregious false claims. CVS Pharmacy, for example, paid nearly $2.8 million in consumers for refunds to settle Federal Trade Commission (FTC) charges of unsubstantiated advertising of the Air Shield immune boosting supplement. Who hasn't heard the advertising for Emergen-C? And they settled a false advertising lawsuit, agreeing to pay $6.45 million to settle a class action lawsuit, which charged the company made false claims that the vitamin C supplement could boost immunity. Another example, the well-known popular product Airborne Effervescent Health Formula. It's, quote, an effervescent tablet marketed as a cold prevention and treatment remedy. They agreed to pay up to $30 million to settle FTC charges that it did not have adequate evidence to support its advertising claims. According to the FTC, there's no competent and reliable scientific evidence to support the claims that airborne tablets can prevent or reduce your risk of colds or sickness or infection, that they can protect against or help fight germs, or reduce the severity or duration of a cold, protect against colds or sickness or infection in crowded places like airplanes, offices, and schools. Even the trusted Dannon Company, and I love Dannon yogurt, but they had to settle a class action lawsuit alleging that the company engaged in false advertising by touting the health benefits of yogurt products. They had to settle a $35 million suit by setting up a $35 million fund to reimburse customers. Labels that once claimed a positive effect on your digestive tract's immune system instead are to say yogurt will interact with the system. This isn't a big pharma against little supplement thing. If family physicians like me, primary care health professionals, even had an inkling of a sense that these products help to boost your immune system, we'd take them and we would recommend them. But fortunately, some action's being taken against people that are trying to deceive you and not give you the truth. And as a result of these actions, advertisers and supplement makers aren't necessarily telling you the truth now. They're just changing their tact. And they're increasingly saying something like, well, there's plenty of evidence in animals and humans that their product has been shown to boost immune response. Now, that's not technically a lie, but it is technically a deception. And let me explain why. For example, there's some research showing that dietary supplements may improve your white blood cells or this or that component of the immune system. For example, it may increase infection-fighting antibody or an infection-fighting white blood cell. But the key point isn't whether that component in the system goes up or works a little bit better. What's important to you and me is, does that prevent any illness whatsoever? And that's the key point, because there's not only no evidence of any improvement in the immune system as a whole, but even more importantly, no research has shown any positive clinical outcomes, much less reducing influenza or colds. I have a good friend, David Rakel. He's a physician up at the University of Wisconsin, and he's a director of integrative medicine there, an evidence-based guy who I really like. He says this: herbs and nutrients can help increase the number of chemicals and cells in the immune system, but it doesn't translate to improved immune function. And that's the whole point, because what you're looking for isn't just a change in this and that chemical. You're looking for an improvement in your health. Harvard Medical School adds this: although some preparations have been found to alter some components of immune function, thus far, there is no evidence that they actually bolster immunity to the point where you are better protected against infection and disease. If there was that evidence, I'd be telling you about it. So after decades of worldwide research, and especially during the global battle against COVID, what do researchers tell us absolutely has been proven to boost your immunity, my immunity, to prevent disease, prevent hospitalization, prevent long-term effects of some infectious disease, and to prevent death? A drum roll, please. The best evidence for the approach to boost immunity is vaccination, pure and simple. I like Mark Chrislip. He's an infectious disease specialist and chief of infectious disease at Legacy Hospital System in Portland, Oregon. He's host of the QuackCast podcast. He writes this. He says, take the immune system, please. It's not a bicep that can be made stronger with a little bit of exercise. It's a complex network of cells and proteins. There is no validity to the concept, the myth of boosting your immune system. Metaphor time, he says. Think of the body like a machine, like a car. You can be properly tuned and maintained. The fluids and the gas can be topped off. The air in the tires at the proper pressure. It will run optimally. But you can't overtune the car. You can't fill the tank past capacity. There is an optimum that you simply can't go beyond. And God has created in us this incredible, intricate, amazing immune system. It operates wonderfully. Vaccinations, no question, boost it. But besides vaccinations, what do we do to help out our immune system? If it's not supplements, if it's not herbs or vitamins, what works? Because there are a number of things that you can do for yourself, for your spouse, for your family to boost your immune system. And here's what I and many, many researchers recommend. Instead of concentrating on boosting the immune system, a more useful approach might be think about balancing the immune system that you've been giving, to keep it in balance, to keep it tuned up, to keep it running well. In other words, think of a healthy immune system as one that sits in balance. Think of it as a scale running between underactive and overactive. Let me see if I can prove this concept to you. HIV, for example, results in an underactive immune system, and that's a bad thing. But an overactive immune system can be even worse. As a family doctor, almost every day in my office, I see people with conditions based on overactive immune systems. Inflammatory diseases, autoimmune diseases come from an overactive immune system. How many of you don't know someone who suffers from allergies or asthma? One of our sweetest friends suffers from rheumatoid arthritis. What about multiple sclerosis, inflammatory bowel diseases like Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, inflammatory skin conditions like psoriasis? These are all caused by a hyperactive immune system. We call them autoimmune disorders because overactive immune systems, instead of reacting to a foreign germ or infection, react to our body's own tissues. And the treatment for these problems is to try to ratchet down the overactive immune system. I mean, even the devastating, dangerous pandemic zoonotic infections, that's a big long word. Zoonotic infections are those that come from animals and spread to humans. And think about the novel coronaviruses that have swept regions and the world. Like if you think of the severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, back in 2002. And then there was the Middle East respiratory syndrome, MERS, back in 2012. And who listening hadn't heard of the pandemic COVID-19? It's now called SARS-CoV-2. In each case, researchers quickly learned that the severity of the disease was associated with an immune response out of control, an overactive immune system, in fact, in the case of COVID, called a cytokine storm. And it resulted in countless deaths, all from immune systems running on overdrive. So if supplements can't help us boost or balance our immune systems, what in the world can? I've got great news for you. I'm so glad you're listening. Harvard Health tells us, for example, that researchers are exploring the effects of diet, exercise, age, psychological stress, and other factors on the immune response, both in animals and in humans. And here's what they say. In the meantime, general healthy living strategies are a good way to start giving your immune system the upper hand, a good way to get your immune system in balance, to get your immune system prepared. Here's what I wrote for my book, The Natural Medicine's Handbook. Your first line of defense is to choose a healthy lifestyle. Following general good health guidelines is the single best step that you can take toward naturally keeping your immune system strong and healthy. I added, Every part of your body, including your immune system, functions better when it's protected from environmental or toxic assaults and when it's bolstered by common sense, inexpensive, healthy living strategies. So what are the strategies that researchers think really work, that really work best in balancing your immune system, preparing yourself from these unexpected infections? Let me just give you a few. First of all, get all the recommended vaccinations for your age, and I include in that the COVID vaccination. Don't smoke, or if you do, stop smoking. It decreases your immune response. Eat a nutritious diet, high in fruits and vegetables. Exercise regularly, move, maintain a healthy weight. If you drink alcohol, drink only a limited amount. Get adequate sleep. It's stunning what happens when we get good restful sleep to the balancing of our immune system. Minimize stress. This may mean increasing your prayer life or your quiet time, or taking those walks that help balance our immune system. Obviously take steps to avoid infection, wash your hands frequently, cook meats thoroughly, that sort of thing. These are all sort of common sense things that we can do to prevent germs from attacking. Now, to these Consumer Reports adds a few other kind of common sense things. They say, for example, cultivate life's wow moments. Look for those things that give you life, that invigorate you. Indulge in a massage, relaxation. Nurture friendships, relationships. Getting rid of loneliness helps balance an immune system. Ease stress, prayer, quiet time. Visit a park. In fact, the Japanese call this nature bathing, of walking in a forest. And you know, the old wisdom of the Bible is that creation speaks of the Lord. And when we don't see the Grand Canyon or something, go, oh my God, it's just beautiful, it's brilliant, and our whole system operates better. Well, what's the bottom line on immune boosting? What best balances or boosts your immune system besides vaccines? Well, there's a lot of things that you can do, but it's not supplements. If it was, I'd tell you about it. I wish it was. But there's no pill or supplement that does the trick. What keeps your immune system healthy? Well, it's kind of those common sense things that we've been talking about that you should be doing on a daily basis. Let me repeat. Eating a well-balanced, nutritious diet, sleeping, exercising, moving, de-stressing yourself. All of these things not only help your immune system, they help your cardiovascular system, they help your brain, they help your skin. Now, this may have been hard for some of you to hear, simply because you may have thought or been taught or believed that this or that vitamin or supplement does the trick. Unfortunately, it doesn't. But there's a lot that you can do to help yourself and your family balance your immune system, protect yourself and your family. Well, now we have time for a few questions. So, Derek, what's our first one? Oh, here it comes. I've seen ads selling a supplement to take before getting the COVID vaccine to reduce allergic reactions and to boost the effectiveness of the vaccine. Would that be wise? Boy, I wish it worked that way, but there's no scientific data that I'm aware of showing that taking any natural medicine, any herb, vitamin, mineral, or supplement, even a probiotic, prior to any vaccination will prevent an allergic reaction or improve the immune response to the vaccine. But there is research that's been conducted with several other vaccines that's shown that, well, for example, stress, depression, lack of social support, lack of sleep can impair the immune system's response to vaccines. And other lifestyle habits can have a negative impact on the vaccine being taken up and used. For example, lack of exercise, poor overall nutrition, and smoking. So because of this, some experts are now recommending that before getting a vaccine, engage in vigorous exercise, avoid alcohol the day before getting a vaccine, avoid smoking the day before getting a vaccine, get a good night's sleep before the vaccination. And these behaviors I want to emphasize, may help your immune system operate at peak performance and actually improve your response to the vaccine. Now, I want to give you a caution. Don't exercise strenuously or take a hot shower in the 2 hours or so before or after a vaccination. And what's the reason for that? Exercise and vigorous hot showers can rarely trigger allergic reactions to vaccines in some people. So that was a great question. Derek, what's our next question? Oh, here it is. Do any supplements help with the COVID-19? Do supplements like vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, or herbals work? Boy, we could do a whole show on that, and maybe we ought to, actually, in the future. I mean, there are tons of supplements and other natural alternative treatments that are being sold everywhere and being promoted to prevent or treat COVID-19. You can't hardly go through a newscast without hearing them. And we've been hearing about them for the last year. Unfortunately, none of them have been proven to work. But some may have potential benefit for some people. Well, I wish I had time to go through it, but let me recommend a source that I trust. I think it's one of the most trusted websites on the internet when it comes to supplements. And it's consumerlab.com. It's a subscription site, but their COVID Information Center is available for free to all of you. But anyway, they've grouped the supplements for COVID into the following categories. The first one is supplements that may help with the coronavirus, particularly if you're not getting enough of them. Vitamin C is one, vitamin D is one, zinc, either tablets or lozenges, and possibly potassium. Now, I'll add to this that this is for people that don't have enough of it. There's no evidence that taking these substances for those of us who aren't deficient really have any benefit at all. And there are some risks, some side effects to each one of these. So I recommend you take a look at the consumerlab.com site. The second category they have is supplements that may possibly help reduce symptoms of coronavirus. And they list a couple of dozen herbs, vitamins, and supplements there. The third category is supplements and products unlikely to help with coronavirus. There's tons of those. And then lastly, supplements or products that not only are unlikely to help, could actually be dangerous for you. And the four they list are apple cider vinegar, CBD, colloidal silver, and essential oils. You get more evidence on this at consumerlab.com. If you're planning to try any of these supplements, they not only tell you what works and what doesn't, but they tell you what they've tested. What's contaminated, what's worthwhile to buy, what's the best value. They have top picks in each category based upon quality, appropriateness of strength, and dosing. Of course, the most important thing you can do to avoid COVID-19 infection by far is getting the vaccine. And then following the recommendations of the CDC and the World Health Organization regarding social distancing, wearing a mask when needed, and other precautions. In addition, I strongly recommend the vaccine. I can't emphasize that enough. It's one of the safest vaccines we've ever had, at least the mRNA vaccines. If you have any questions about it, check with your personal physician. Well, my goodness, our time has flown by. And if you're interested in reading more about the information from today's program, then you might want to consider picking up a book from my website, drwalt.com. But it's just out. It's only been out a little while now. It's the Natural Medicine Handbook. It says it's the truth about the most effective herbs, vitamins, and supplements for common conditions. And it not only has, it's not a book of my opinions and hearsay, but we literally quote the best research from the best researchers and the best research institutions literally around the world. Condense it into a handbook where you can quickly look up what works and what doesn't. Well, I need to say goodbye for now, but I hope that if you have questions in the future, that you'll write me. The email address is drwalt@liftable.tv. We won't be able to answer all of your questions, but we'll certainly group them together and even design shows around your questions. But I have to warn you, I can't answer specific questions about your health or your family's health, but delighted, absolutely delighted to take general questions and give you information that's medically accurate and trustworthy. Hey, don't miss next week. We're going to talk about the 4 keys to becoming highly healthy. And it's not just physical health, my friends. But until we're next together, to quote from Apostle John, dear friends, I pray that you may enjoy good health and that all may go well with you, even as your soul is getting along well. See you next week.